Welcome to the Buddha's Birthday Ceremony 2024. Marshall White JDPSN will give us the opening speech.
Welcome, everyone, to the Buddha's birthday ceremony. The Buddha was born in Kapilavastu. He attained enlightenment under the Bodhi tree in Magadha. He turned the wheel of the Dharma, which means he began teaching, in Sarnath near Benares. And he entered nirvana, or he died, in Kushinagara. But when was the Buddha born? When was the Buddha born? Was he born eons and eons ago when he first met the previous Buddha, Dipankara? And he says, I also want to become a Buddha. Was he born when he was conceived and his mother dreamed of a white elephant? Was he born when he actually emerged from his mother's body in the Lumbini garden as she hung from a branch? Was he born when he attained enlightenment under the Bodhi tree? Was he born when he began to teach in Sarnath? If we're not talking koans, that might be actually a good candidate, because it's the first time he began to function as a Buddha. He began to teach, and one of the people listening got it. And thus the Sangha was born. Or was the Buddha born when he died, when he entered nirvana and gave his strongest teaching? Everything is impermanent. Don't waste any time. So the Buddha's teachings are vast, and yet in their essence, very, very simple. When we look at the Dhammapada 183, Sabapapasa karanam kusalasa upasampada sachita pariyodapanam etam buddhana sasanam. Do nothing that is evil. Do everything that is good, and purify the mind. Thus, the teachings of all the Buddhas. Or as we may say from the temple rules, a day without work is a day without eating. There are two kinds of work, inside work and outside work. Inside work is keeping clear mind. Outside work is taking away our selfish desires and helping others. First work, then eat. So these teachings almost identical. Very, very simple. And yet, we have to do it. And the Sangha means this commitment to actually doing it. When the Buddha was enlightened, he was sitting under the Bodhi tree, and one of the first thoughts he had was, nobody's going to get this. Nobody's going to believe this. It actually took divine intervention. Brahma Sahampati came down, seeing that the Buddha wasn't planning to teach, said, Lord, for the sake of those who have but a little dust in their eyes, please teach. And the Buddha had this famous vision of a lotus pond, and most of the lotuses were still under the water. Some were just peeping up over the water, and some were just ready to bloom. They just needed just a little help. And so the Buddha made a commitment. And he looked around and he said, who am I going to teach? And he thought of his previous teachers. They were all deceased. Then he thought of his 5 former companions. If you know the geography of India, Bodh Gaya, where the Buddha was enlightened, and Sarnath, where he started to teach, they're not in the same neighborhood. They're like 150 miles away. So the Buddha made a commitment, and then he hoofed it. He walked to Sarnath, and when he arrived, his 5 former companions were not happy to see him. And in fact, they were talking among themselves, and they said, "We are not even going to acknowledge his presence." He walked up, and there was something about him that was completely different, and they couldn't help themselves. They did make a seat, and the Buddha began to teach. There was no guarantee that this was going to work, that anybody was ever going to get it, and yet he began to teach. He made this commitment. Somebody got it, and then somebody else got it, and the Sangha was born, and here we are. So thank you, everyone, for your commitment to getting here. Thank you, everyone, for your commitment to practice. Thank you, everyone, for your commitment to watching your own mind, to watching your actions, to watching the intention of your actions, to watching the impact of your actions. Thank you, everyone, for giving birth to the Buddha. Welcome, everyone, to this Buddha's birthday ceremony.
Please stand for the threefold refuge. Threefold refuge in Korean and Sogamuni Bull chanting. During this time, children can come to the front for bathing the baby Buddha. One by one, dip the ladle into the water and pour over the baby Buddha's head 3 times. Please be seated. And we'll now have 3 minutes of meditation. We'll now have updates from our Zen centers. First will be, so we've asked some Zen Center representatives from Sanghas further afield to give us updates. First will be on Zoom, Paul Poor from South Florida Zen Group.
Good morning, and happy Buddha's birthday from the South Florida Zen Group. My name is Paul Poor, and I'm the abbot of our Sangha. Our temple, Bohyunsa, is located in a northern suburb of Miami called Southwest Ranches. We meet here on Saturday mornings and Tuesday evenings. We also have a very popular satellite location, which we rent on Wednesday evenings in Dania Beach, which is on the coast about 20 miles away from the temple. A little bit about our temple. Bohyunsa is a long-established temple for the Korean community, where we have been guests for over 20 years. Their membership is aging, many have passed, and they don't appear to be being replaced by younger members. When COVID hit, Florida's governor declared a stance of remaining open. So we had very high rates of infection and hospitalization throughout the pandemic. We had 2 Korean monks in residence at the time, and as we all know, East Asians take respiratory diseases very seriously. So Bohyunsa was the very first place locally to close for COVID, and it was the very last to open. So we were online for well over 2 years. We survived, and we retained most members. A year and a half ago, in October of 2022, I was appointed abbot. This was totally unexpected, not something I ever imagined or aspired to. But as we all know, one moment can change everything. No attainment, nothing to attain, but here it was. It's been a humbling experience, and I've aimed to fully honor my commitment to the Sangha as a senior Dharma teacher. It's been a very positive experience, and one that has caused me to serve in whole new ways. We have a wonderful Sangha, some of whom have been with us for 15 or more years. This metropolitan area is very transient, so we also have a lot of people who come and go. They dabble in the practice, but they're really not committed to it. I suspect this is a reality at most Zen centers. On the other end of the spectrum, we have very dedicated practitioners who continue to take precepts. Over the past year and a half, we've had a number of people take 5 precepts. 3 people became teachers in training, 2 of whom will become Dharma teachers this August, and another member became a Dharma teacher as well. George Bethea, our Dogam, and I became senior Dharma teachers in April of 2023. I want to thank both personally and on behalf of our Sangha, Paul Mychek, for serving as our guiding teacher. He's been a steady presence for me, and Paul beams in 2 to 3 times a month on Zoom to conduct interviews and answer questions at Dharma Talks. I also want to thank Dennis Duermeier, who also holds interviews with us on a monthly basis and also works with our Dharma Talks. Also, thanks to Kwan Heng Sunim for leading our last retreat. Lastly, I want to thank Mary Kay for her assistance behind the scenes. When I took over as abbot, we put in a new financial system, developed teaching materials for newcomer orientations, got ourselves insured, developed updated bylaws, and we're currently in the process of putting in a new email system which will allow us to track who actually opens and reads our emails. Our Sangha has also established a new relationship with our temple. I made 2 commitments to the president of the Korean board that oversees the temple, that we would initiate a monthly donation to the temple, which had never been done previously, and that we would commit to taking care of the large temple grounds. We have members working outdoors literally every Saturday, and that's not always a joy in Florida's heat and humidity. And we've held a number of major work days. David Mendoza has been instrumental in organizing the planting of a vegetable garden and creating a sustainable banana circle. The temple grounds have never looked better, and the Korean board now refers to us as, quote, part of the family. Aside from having a wonderful temple in which to practice, we also have the pleasure of having a resident monk. Jinreng Sunim just left us after 6 years, and we just welcomed back Hyunhei Sunim, who lived at Bohyunsa for 10 years, from 2006 to 2016. He's a wonderful man who's always welcoming, practices with us, and makes us tea after practice. We've recently been offering one-day retreats more frequently and developed a new schedule that runs from 4:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., includes the full morning of a YMJJ retreat, as well as the evening chanting. This has proven really popular, and if anybody's interested in the schedule, please contact me at southfloridazengroup@gmail.com, and I'll send you the schedule. With that, I close. I thank you all for this opportunity. If you ever find yourself in the Miami area, we would welcome your visit or attendance at one of our retreats. Thank you.
Next in person, we have Tom Davis from the Kansas Zen Center. Partly on Zoom.
Good morning, everyone. Okay. I'm here this weekend with. By the way, I'm the facilities manager at the Kansas Zen Center. We're in Lawrence, Kansas, which is a college town, University of Kansas, and I'm here this weekend with my wife, who's the treasurer. So I can say with some confidence we are still operating. We've been open, post-COVID about 2 years now, and Sunday attendance and retreat attendance continues to build. Our precept ceremony is next weekend, and we have 2 people taking 5 precepts and another one taking 10 precepts. So we're well staffed with people to run Sunday service and weekday service, and we're right now midway through our spring fundraising campaign, and we set a more aggressive goal for ourselves than last year. And I think donations are up something like 30 or 40% from a year ago, so we feel very good about that. There's a couple of other main things that have been going on at the Zen Center. We built a new building in 2018, 2019, and it was in an older part of Lawrence that had a lot of weeds and grass and non-native plantings in it. And so, there's a PhD in botany that has a prairie lands restoration nonprofit that she runs, and we got a grant to use her to come do native plantings in our backyard. And we started that maybe 2 years ago, and we have another year or so to run on that contract. And so things are really, coming up nicely. And we have community weeding days, Sangha weeding days. In fact, there's one coming up, I think, Wednesday or a week from Wednesday. We also had there's a local artist, stonemason, who did a big stone Buddha carving for us. We got it for incredibly, when you see this Buddha, you won't believe it. It cost us $3,000, which is a drop in the bucket. But it's genderless, and it's a human being, right? And it looks like a human being, but it's neither Asian or European. It's neither male or female. It's a Buddha. And so those things are really keeping us busy. I guess we had 4 people attend Kylche this year from the Lawrence Sangha, and that's almost certainly a record for us. I think those are really the highlights. Spring has arrived. We're probably about 3 weeks ahead of you, and spring has arrived, and the prairie grass is growing all by itself.
Next, we have Darren Brown from the Northern Lights Zen Center in Maine.
Hey everyone, y'all look great. Wonderful to be here. My name is Darren. I practice 3 hours north in Topsom, Maine, Northern Light Zen Center. Our guiding teacher is Terry Cronin, JDPSN. He, I believe, is one of the founding members from so long ago with Colin Fay, who Colin died a few years ago, but we still practice with him every day. His energy and spirit is infused in our Sangha forever. Our abbot is Bill Robacek, and between Bill and Terry, I can't really even tell you the amount of energy and care and love that they put into our Sangha. They do so much for us. We're all immensely grateful for them. Our Sangha has been growing so much in the last few years. We have this, we have a new Dharma building that Terry lives in now. It was in Colin's basement for so many years. It might have even been somewhere before that, I'm not sure. But it is now in a new place in Topsom, Maine. And I think maybe some 10 years ago, they converted a two-car garage into our now beautiful Dharma room. And we have Wednesday night practice, Zoom and in person. Our practice starts at 6:35, but usually people start filtering in around maybe 6 o'clock. And before long, our little room before the Dharma room, I call it the tea room because we always get tea going, it fills up pretty fast. And, 35 minutes before practice, there's 10, 12 people in there hanging out, drinking tea, getting to know each other. We have a great community. We do, every month we have either a full day sit on the last Saturday or a half day where we do extended chanting together. We have a Sangha day in the summer, which has been very fun. We have badminton and cornhole and an incredible amount of food. It's a blast. We have a wonderful problem, which is our Sangha has grown so considerably in the last few years that our driveway is too small. We actually, one of our members, Ron, built this great map where you can put where your name and where you're from in Maine, so we can try to start carpooling a little bit, because there's just the space, the desire in Maine for the Dharma and to grow in a Sangha seems to be growing so much lately. And so I think our next big project is going to be building maybe a bigger driveway. We have a beautiful big field in the back, and in the front it overlooks just farmland. It's really wonderful. So we'll be hopefully raising money soon with a lot of hard work to extend our driveway so people can comfortably come and we can just keep welcoming more human beings. We don't want to turn anyone away. The more the better. We've had a lot of big projects lately. Finally got some new steps that are not so scary and dangerous. A lot of hard effort went into making those steps up front into the entrance. They look wonderful. Got some jackhammer energy going for that. Thank you for everyone that did that. So thank you so much. Please come visit us in Maine on a Wednesday in Zoom, in person. Come to our Sangha Day. We have a beautiful Sangha. I'm so grateful for all of you. Thank you.
Now, our Dharma speech will be given by Dennis Duermeier, JDPSN.
born here. Where do you come from? Born to the grave. Where do you go? There is one thing that is pure and clear, not dependent on life and death. Is that true? How do you find out? Hats! Dharma sisters and brothers, thank you all for being here today. So we're here to commemorate the birth of Siddhartha Gautama, who became Shakyamuni Buddha. There's any number of legends and stories about the Buddha, about his miraculous birth and existence and teaching and death, parinirvana, so on and so forth. But what really interests me about the Buddha's story is that he was a human being, just like us, and never claimed to be anything else. His quest, his unease with his life is common to all of us. His story is common to all of us, and certainly to all of us who are here trying to work out for ourselves, why are things so unsatisfactory? Why do our lives seem so difficult? Why are we born only to suffer and die? It's absurd. And yet, here we are. Marshall already mentioned that upon his great awakening, he had no desire to teach. He was simply content to sit there for the rest of his existence, supposedly. But he was prevailed upon by celestial beings to go out and teach this world for the benefit of all sentient beings. And through his great compassion, he undertook that process. And he spoke and taught a lot. Many, 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 many words. I just noticed I think it's the copy of Buddhist Sutras out there that somebody presented us, Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation. It seemed about that thick. Full of words. But we teach that this is a wordless transmission outside the sutras. And we have this lineage chart here, which I've always taken for granted over the years, coming here to the Zen Center. But we recently had someone visit us who said, this is a very rare thing to have this lineage just delineated, written down here, from Shakyamuni Buddha right down to Zen Master Sun San, right down to all of you. An unbroken line of individual people, of persons, people, human beings, just like us, sharing this somehow with one another. So we give these talks, and sometimes there's this question, why is that necessary? Why all these words about such a simple and wordless undertaking or situation? There's a couple good stories about that. One that I heard recently was about Zen Master Kyung Ho, whose picture is in the middle back there. He was the teacher of Zen Master Man Gong, who was the teacher of Zen Master Ko Bong, who was Zen Master Sun San's teacher. The story is that people would come to him for Dharma talks. And he would say, okay, bring me something to drink. I need some liquor. Then I'll give you a Dharma talk. So people did this. But some people were upset about the idea he's a monk, a monastic. Why is he drinking all this liquor? Oh, he's a bad monk, not so good. And somebody asked him about that apparently one time to his face. And he said, you come to me for a talk, and there's nothing to tell you. There's nothing to give you. You are living in this delusion, this drunken delusion. He said, so if I'm going to give you a talk, I'm going to share that with you. And then I'll talk. Sometimes someone would ask Zen Master Sun San, why so much talk? Why so many words about this essentially nameless, formless, non-conceptual undertaking? And he said, everybody has understanding sickness. We all think we're going to understand something. Then our problems are over, then our life is sweet. But he always said, understanding cannot help you. But understanding sickness requires understanding medicine. So yeah, maybe some words in this understanding medicine will help all beings. Because we are human beings, and that's what we have. So I love words. All my life I've loved words. I think I got it from my mother. She was a voracious reader, and she passed that on to me. But also, growing up, my mother had 5 brothers. She was the only girl in her family. So she's pretty tough, you know, and it was, so when we would all get together at these family gatherings, I would just kind of sit on the sidelines and watch her and all her brothers just banter with each other. It was just enchanting to me. They were so quick, and they were so funny, and they were so loving, you know, it's just, it really influenced my life. I really love that sort of thing. And I like talking. Maybe too much. But what I'm finding is I'm at a point in life where words are starting to desert me. You know, I'm noticing that there are times when I'm in the midst of talking to someone, and suddenly a word that I'm after is just not there anymore. Some people are nodding. And that's quite disconcerting. But also that's by natural process, just like everything else that happens to us in this world. That is our lives. So years ago I was reading a translation of the Tibetan Book of the Dead, and there was a phrase in there, there was some, it was like chapters translated, and then also just practical teaching about how to do these sorts of practices for people. And so one of the chapters was about just being with someone who's dying, and how to relate to someone who's dying. We were all very uncomfortable with that. I often think that it's because we don't think it's happening to us, and it's something kind of embarrassing happening to somebody else in front of us. You know, we have that attitude. But what struck me about this instruction, this instruction for helping people in that situation, was you have to realize these people are losing everything. They are actually facing that. If you have the good luck to be aware of the fact that you're dying rather than just being hit by a bus or something, you're going to face that also. We all are. The only difference between us and someone who's actively dying is that we still have the illusion that probably we've got more time, probably it's going to be something a little sweeter for us, however we conceive of that. But that phrase, you're going to lose everything. Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, mind, going away. What can we do? Again, that's by natural process. I don't know. Maybe I can subscribe to one of those brain development apps. Maybe I can improve my memory. I don't know. But if I did, what's the point? So words are important to us. Words can help us. Words can point at something. Words are not that thing. So it's just happening now. Yeah, I had a point to that. Of course, I want to get up here and give you all a good Dharma talk. And I really think that a Dharma talk like this is very helpful, because I honestly believe the best thing we can do in this life is to encourage one another to do this. And words are a way to do that. They're not the thing. How do you explain? How do you point at something that is not conceptual? And that's the problem with words. They create they arise from concepts, they create concepts, they sustain concepts, and that's not what it's about. That's not a bad thing in and of itself. And today there's a lot of concern about words as misinformation. But in some way, any word any of us say is misinformation. It's creating an illusion. It's sustaining a delusion that we have about our existence and about how to live. So one thing I've always appreciated about Zen Master Sungsan's teaching, it was so clear, it was first make your direction clear. First make your direction clear. And what's our direction? Everyone knows. Not for me, for the sake of all sentient beings. That's our teaching. That's a good idea. But lots of ideas out there in the world that people believe fervently that maybe don't align with that. So that is the second step. He said, make your direction clear, then just do it. Just do it means take your understanding, take your ideas, get them down here and digest them. Then some clarity can appear. Then some maybe wisdom can appear. Then maybe your life becomes not for me, rather than having to stop and think about what should I do in this particular situation. So then maybe your speech, maybe your words can truly become for the benefit of all sentient beings, pointing in that direction. So this is a simple thing, okay? This is very simple. This practice is very, very simple, but maybe difficult because we love this more than anything else. So this not for me practice, that's 180 degrees from how we habitually behave. And that's a hard thing to do. There's not much support for that in life. Get your own, get what you need, take care of yourself, be successful. However that works out for us. That's the trend, I guess, the thrust. Somehow that's going to solve your problem. But all that is around and around and around, because much like the teaching that Kyung-ho Sanin, Kyung-ho Zen Master, gave to people, there's nothing to get. There's nothing outside of you to get, to seek, to lust after, to chase. What's important is this moment. This is it. What are you doing right now? No other place, no other time, no other person, no other life right now. So, simple but difficult, but easier when we are supporting one another this way. So, sincerely thank everyone for being here, for your practice, for your willingness to look at yourself. It's probably the hardest thing human beings can do, is to take this awareness and turn it back on itself. What is it? Where does it come from? Big mystery. We like mysteries because somebody always figures it out in the end. I'm not sure this is that sort of mystery. So thank you all for being here and for your practice and supporting this Zen Center and your Zen Centers and all beings together. Only this moment. Did you get it? Only this moment. Did you lose it? How can you stop dragging around this corpse? Thank you all for your practice.
Now Nancy Hedgepeth JDPSN will present the Buddha's birthday poem.
The words, Dennis. Squeezed, forced to breathe, light overwhelming, sounds harsh, hunger appears, perceptions chaotic, all gates open wide. Ah! Siddhartha is born. You and I are born. Dissatisfaction gate appears, becomes great question gate. No coming, no going. Gates disappear. Don't stop there. Truth gates appear, moment to moment to moment. Which gate shall you use? Which shall I? Welcome. Please come in.
Now we will have the ceremony to celebrate giving. Dyan JDPSN will give the speech to celebrate giving. After the speech, you will have the opportunity to donate to the Quantum School.
I'm Dyan. Good morning, everyone. I'm Dyan, but I go by the name of Colin. I was at Cambridge Zen Center this morning, where I stay quite often these days, and I was in the kitchen, and Rohit was stirring up some eggs, and Chris was frying some mushrooms and onions to put in this big omelet that they were making for all the residents, and Ryan was there joking around like usual. I think Eric was there too. I was standing there, I said to them, "You guys!" They probably thought I was going to make a joke, because I like to joke. And, "You guys!" And they looked at me, "Aren't we so lucky to have each other?" And I was looking at you, and you, and you. And I said, "Are we so lucky to have each other?" Like, where else in the world can you go where people embrace the big questions, right? Everybody's pushing the big question away, but we come together to concentrate on the big question. And I was thinking about Marshall's talk that Buddha said, don't do that which is evil, don't do that which is good. And that's a very simple teaching. The only problem is everybody fights over what is good and what is evil. This is good, no, this is good. So some further understanding has to be had. Don't make good, don't make evil. Right? A student came in for an interview the other day, and we were talking, and I said, imagine you had everything you possibly wanted, then what? And he said, well, I would give some to my sister. She already also has everything she could possibly want, then what? Well, I get a motorboat. You've been on so many motorboats, you don't need to go on any more motorboats. You have everything. Then what? And he thought for a minute. Oh. I have everything? I said, you have everything. Oh. I guess I'd help other people. In our tradition, what we learn through sitting, through practice, like lots of time looking at the floor, we have everything. The jade plant on the porch, the sign over the door, our friends on Zoom, everything already appeared. And when you really attain that everything, then only giving is left, right? Not giving to someone else, not giving to yourself, just give, only giving, right? So this is a very, very special place. This place, by place, I mean our whole tradition. Only in this tradition do we sit so long to attain everything, because when we attain everything, then we can truly give. Right? So in December, we had a fundraiser. We raised $60,000 for our school. So first of all, thank you. Thank you for attaining everything and giving. Yeah. So already that money is spent.
So we have what used to be called the fundraising committee, but we're changing the name to the development committee. And because it turns out that there are people in our schools, so many of us, pretty much all of us, who we're not happy with just making sure the roof doesn't fall down, but also we want we want everybody to have everything. And then everybody can give everything, right? So we want to make sure that we can attract new members by getting word out through social media, and we want to make sure that all our buildings, there's actually only 48 holes in the roof at Cambridge Zen Center. We want to make sure our facilities are in place. We want to make sure that people who can't afford to come to Kilche can have a scholarship. We want to make sure that this tradition continues to grow for the sake of all beings, right? So I ask you one more time to think about this. How lucky are we to have each other? And how much do we want other people to have each other too? Right? So there's two ways you can give. Obviously there's the form on the floor, and you can write down, your credit card number and everything, and you can offer some money, and that's very good. And I ask you, only because I think my heart and your heart are the same, I ask you to give as generously as you can, because we want, the buildings are getting old, and we do want to keep giving, and we do want everybody to have everything, so please do give generously. But there's another way you can give, which is through your time and your expertise. So as it happens, there's a big call in our school for roofers. So if you happen to be a roofer, you could write down, I'm a roofer, and a number of hours. Like, I could give this many hours, either a total number of hours. I could give 100 hours, or I could give 5 hours a month. Or you could write down, as it happens, I'm a social media expert. I could give 5 hours a month, or something like this. So please, if you can, give money. If you can, also give your time and your expert. You could also just say, I'm good at washing dishes. I'll wash all the dishes you want, right? So whatever, everything. Yeah, Eric. Anything you can give is wonderful. And then when you give, you will have everything. We will all have everything. Everybody will have everything. And we can all give to each other. So thank you.
Thank you, Dyan. Okay, on your cushions, you'll find a form, envelope, and pen. If you'd like to make a donation by check or cash, simply write your name on the form and put the cash or check in the envelope. If you wish to make a donation using your credit card or pledge to be paid later, simply fill out the form and put that. I think all the pens have been given out. So during chanting, you can come up to the donation boxes at the altar to put in your envelope. And please stand for Kwanzaa Bosal chanting.
We're only going to chant Kwanzaa Bosal, we're not going to do the beginning of the end. Just
We'll now say the four great vows. Sentient beings are numberless. We vow to save them all. Delusions are endless. We vow to cut through them all. The teachings are infinite. We vow to learn them all. The Buddha way is inconceivable. We vow to attain it. Please be seated. So we have a few closing announcements. Immediately after the announcements, on the projection screen here, we will show a trailer of Don't Know Mind by So Young Lee. Don't Know Mind is the story of the ongoing lineage of Zen Master Seung San, the first Korean Zen master to teach in the West. The film is based upon interviews with past and contemporary practitioners carrying on his unique and vivid Don't Know. Lunch is at 12. Please join us in the dining room immediately after lunch for a birthday cake for the Buddha. Please see the bulletin board on the shoe rack, by the shoe rack, for any volunteer assignments. We have Shukeun Se and Patrick McMahon signed up for lunch cleanup following that meal. Sorry, there are a lot of announcements. The gift shop will be open from noon till 2:45. The teachers' trustees meeting is at 12:30 in the conference room. Following lunch, those becoming full Dharma teachers are asked to be in the upstairs Dharma room at 1:45 to receive their long robes. Jody Blackwell will be up there to teach you how to wear the robes. At 2 p.m. in the upstairs Dharma room is the Dharma teacher in training welcoming meeting. Those about to take 10 precepts and all current Dharma teachers and Dharma teachers in training are invited to attend. For those taking 5 precepts and anyone who wants to learn about the 5 precepts, there is a mandatory meeting in the Peace Pagoda at 2 p.m. Please bring a mat and cushion from the main Dharma room to use in the Peace Pagoda. There are a couple of chairs for those who need them. The precept ceremony will begin at 3 p.m. here in the main Dharma room. Dinner is at 5. Practice will follow dinner at 6:30. Then join us back here in the main Dharma room immediately after practice for a conscious stance. Conscious stance is a practice that emphasizes the mind-body connection, self-expression, and mindfulness. Unlike traditional dance forms with specific choreography or techniques, conscious stance encourages individuals to explore movement freely and authentically in a non-judgmental and non-verbal space. No skills or training are necessary except being present, listening to your body, and letting go of the ego. Thank you for sharing this special weekend with us. You can go now.
We're watching the video?
Oh, yeah, we're going to watch the video. Come on, please. You guys can do it. Can't really get out.